जय कुंज विहारी जय गोपी जन वल्लभ जय गिरिवरधारी यशोदानंदन ब्रजनरंजन यशोदानंदन ब्रजनरंजन यमुना तीरावनचारी यमुना तीरावनचारी जय राधा माधव जय कुंज बिहारी जय गोपी जनवल्लभ जय गिरिवरधारी यशोदानंदन ब्रज जनरंजन यशोदानंदन ब्रज जनरंजन यमुना तीरावनचारी जय राधा माधव जय कुंज विहारी जय गोपी जना वल्लभ जय गिरिवरधारी यशोदानंदन ब्रज जनरंजन यशोदानंदन ब्रज जनरंजन यमुना तीरावनचारी यमुना तीरावनचारी जय राधा माधव जय कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधव जय कुंज बिहारी हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे Hare Krishna, everyone. Today we will read from Prabhupada Leela. We'll start with that. Prabhuji, someone would like to read it, or you would like me to read it?
Yeah, anyone can start reading, please. If anyone can. Or you can read as well, Mataji, if you prefer.
Should I read it? Okay.
Yeah.
I can read it, Mataji.
Amritlal Bose, a famous organizer and director of the theatre in Bengal, rehearsed Abhay and a group of his classmates in a drama from the life of Lord Chaitanya. Since Chaitanya Leela was available in the public theatre for half a rupee, Mr. Bose argued, what was the need for an amateur production? And his answer was, they should appreciate your performance of Lord Chaitanya so much that after seeing it, they will agree never to sin. So the eminent director was volunteering his service and training these boys, but on one condition: they would not perform publicly unless he said the production was perfect. For more than a year, Abhay and the other rehearsed the Chaitanya play until finally their director allowed them to stage a public performance. Abhay, playing the part of Advaita Acharya, noticed that many people in the audience were crying. At first, he could not understand why, but then he realized that because the players had been well trained and because they were sincere, the audience was moved. That was Abhay's first and last dramatic performance. Abhay's psychology teacher, Professor Urquhart, gave evidence that woman's brain weighed less than man's. His economics professor lectured on Marshall's theory that family affection is the impetus for economic development. In Sanskrit, Abhay used a text by Rao and Webb that describes Sanskrit as the mother of all languages. While studying Kalidas Kumara Sambhava in Sanskrit, Abhay was impressed by Kalidas' explanation of the word hira, which means undisturbed or self-controlled. According to Kalidas, once long ago, Lord Shiva was sitting in deep meditation. Because the demigod were at war with the demon, they wanted a commander-in-chief born from the semen of Lord Shiva. So the demigod sent a beautiful young girl, Parvati, to interrupt his meditation. Although Parvati worshipped Lord Shiva and even touched his genitals, he was not disturbed. His resistance to temptation was the perfect example of being Dhira. As at other British-run schools in India, all the European teachers at Scottish churches had to learn the local language. Once Professor Urquhart walked past Abhay and a group of students as they were eating some peanuts and talking together. One of the students, speaking in Bengali, made a joke at Professor Urquhart's expense. To their surprise, Professor Urquhart immediately turned to the jokester and answered in Bengali, and Abhay and the others felt ashamed. The Bible study was compulsory. Bible Society had issued each student a beautifully found Bible, and each morning everyone gathered for scriptures reading, prayers, and hymns. So one of the professors criticized the Vedic teachings of karma and transmigration of the soul. In a court of law, one cannot be prosecuted for a crime unless there is a witness. Similarly, he argued, although according to Hindus, the soul suffers in his present life for the misdeed of his past life, where is the witness to this misdeed? Abhay was displeased to hear this criticism. He knew how to refute it, but being only a student, he had remained silent. Socially, he was inferior, and a student had little scope to challenge a professor. But he knew that the professor's argument against karma was insubstantial. He knew there was a witness.
Yeah, Mataji, we will stop at this point. Thank you. Mataji, yeah, you can continue with the Bhagavatam class.
And that is the end of the chapter. We will start with, I will start sharing the screen. So today's verse, we are going to start from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 16, verse number 24 and 25. So before that, we start with the prayer. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udarya Nastaprayesha Bhadresu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavate Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Neshtiki. Esho Swamedhan Satam Ajahara Saraswati Pradurabhaviyatra Aharshidhyasya Hayam Purandara Tatakartus Charame Vartamani. Esho Swasadmo Pavane Samatteya Sanat Kumaram Bhagavatam Ekam Aradhya Bhaktya Labhata Malam Taj Jnanam Yato Brahma Param Vidanti Esha Swamedhan Satatam Ajara Saraswati Pradurabhavi Yatra Aharshedhyasya Hayam Purandara Tata Kratus Charame Vartamani Esha Swa Sadma Pavane Sammitya Sanat Kumaram Bhagavantam Ekam Aradhya Bhaktya Labhatamalam Ta Jnanam Yato Brahma Param Vidanti Esho Swamedhan Satam Ajahara Saraswati Pradurabhiyatra Aharshedhyasya Hayam Purandara Tata Kratus Charame Vartamani Esha Swasatmo Pavane Smitya Sanat Kumaram Bhagavan Tam Ekam Aradhya Bhaktya Labhata Tad Jnanam Yato Brahma Param Vidanti. Anybody would like to recite the verse?
Hare Krishna Maharaj, Dandavat Pranam. I am free. Esho Shmedam Shatam Ajaharo Saraswati Pradurbhavi Yatra Ahar Siddhasya Hayam Purandaraha Shatakratuscharame Vartamane Esha Sadmopavane Sameta Sanat Kumaram Bhagavantam Ekam Aradha
I can't hear him. Has Prabhuji, you have turned off your mic to recite the verse?
No, Mataji, I am trying to increase the volume. I think that will.
Yeah, that's fine, Prabhu. Your voice is
Okay.
yes.
I'm trying from the beginning then. So, Mataji.
Somehow I'm not able to hear anybody.
Mataji, we can hear. It may be a problem at your settings.
Or maybe Mataji, you can increase your volume.
Yeah,
Because
I can hear you now, Prabhuji.
Okay, I'm reading again. Esho Shmedhan Shatamajuharo Saraswati Pradurbhavi Yatra Aharshid Siddhasya Hayam Purandara Shatak Ratuscharame Vartamane Esha Sadmopavane Sameto Sanat Kumaram Bhagavantamekam Aratha Bhakta Lavata Malam Attaj Jnanam Yato Brahma Param Vidanti. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Ishashavedhan Shatamajhara Saraswati Pradurabhavi Yatra Aharshidasya Hayam Purandaraha Shatakrutuscharame Vartamane Esha Swasadmapavani Sametya Sanat Kumaram Bhagavantamekam Aradhya bhakta lavata malam taj jnanam yato brahma param vidanti. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji, I am trying as well. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Esha sammedhan satam ajahara sadashat pradurbhavi yatra aharsid asya ayam purandaraha shatakartuscharame vartamane esha satmo pavane sammitya sanat kumaram bhagavantam ekam aradhya bhaktya labhatamalam taj jnanam jato brahma param vidanti. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. Anyone else would like to recite? We'll move to word translation. If anybody would like to read word-to-word translation.
I can try, Mataji.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. For SB 4.16.24. Esha, this king, Ashwamedhan, sacrifices known as the Ashwamedha. Shatam, 100. Ajahara, will perform. Saraswati, the name of the river, Saraswati. Pradurbhavi, become manifest. Yatra, where. Aharshit, will steal. Yasya, whose. Hayam, horse. Purandara, the Lord Indra. Shatakratu, one who performed 100 sacrifices. Charame, while the last sacrifice. Vartamane is occurring. Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Krishna Mataji, I'm reading the synonyms from the 4.16.25. Esho, the king. Shashadma, of the palace. Upavane, in the garden. Shameto, meeting. Sanat Kumaram, Sanat Kumara. Bhagavantam, the worshipable. Ekam, alone. Aradhya, worshipping. Bhaktya, with devotion. Alavhata, he will achieve. Amalam, without contamination. Tat, that. Gyanam, transcendental knowledge. Yat, yataha, by which. Brahma, spirit. Param, supreme transcendental. Vidanti, they enjoy, they know. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. The translation by Srila Prabhupada. The translation of these two verses is, at the source of the river Saraswati, the king will perform 100 sacrifices known as Ashwamedha. In the course of the last sacrifice, the heavenly king Indra will steal the sacrificial horse. And in verse 25 translation, the king Prithu will meet Sanat Kumara, one of the 4 Kumaras, in the garden of his palace compound. The king will worship him with devotion and will be fortunate to receive instruction by which one can enjoy transcendental bliss. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. We have purport for only one verse, which is verse number 25 out of 24 and 25. So the purport is, the word Vedanti refers to one who knows something or enjoys something. When a person is properly instructed by a spiritual master and understands transcendental bliss, he enjoys life. As stated in Bhagavad Gita 18.54, Brahma Bhuta Prasannatma na Sochati na Kanshati. When one attains to the Brahman platform, he neither hankers nor laments, and he actually partakes of transcendental blissful enjoyment. Although King Prithu was an incarnation of Vishnu, he nonetheless taught the people in his kingdom to take instruction from a spiritual master who represents the disciplic succession. Thus, one can become fortunate and enjoy a blissful life even within this material world. In this verse, the word Vedanti is sometimes taken to mean understanding. Thus, when a person understands Brahman or the supreme source of everything, he enjoys a blissful life. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurutam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavanscha Shri Rupam Sakrajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitam Stam Sajivam Sadvaitam Swavadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sutadevi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha kalpatrus vyascha kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Vedvyas Priya Swami Iti Namine. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Kauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashyata Desatarine. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna everyone. So today we will see the pastime from the Bhagavatam where King Prithu is performing the Ashwamedha Yajna. So giving a bit of context, that he was performing, Ashwamedha Yajna is usually performed with 100 sacrifices. It has a counting of 100. And Prithu Maharaj was performing 19, he has already performed 99 sacrifice at this stage of the verse. And there was one horse left in the arena to complete the Ashwamedha Yajna. But anybody who completes the Ashwamedha Yajna can actually also get the position of Indra. So that's why the King Indra was very much terrified and insecure that his position could be snatched whenever anybody tries to complete the Ashwamedha Yajna. So Indra got jealous and envious of Lord Prithu, because if he were to perform 100 sacrifice, he had a threat that his position could be taken away. So he decided to disrupt the sacrifice when King Prithu reached the 99 sacrifice. So he came to the sacrificial ceremony He was invisible, so nobody could see him, and he stole the horse and ran away. But the great sage Atri saw Indra running away with the horse, even though when he was invisible. And when he saw this, he went to Prithu's son and told him that Indra has stole the horse, you should go and kill him. So Prithu Maharaj's son decided to follow the instruction and he chased Indra. And when he chased Indra, he saw that, the person who was stealing the horse is dressed up as a sannyasi and is going away with the horse. So he decided that because he is dressed up as a sannyasi, he will not kill him, and he returned. But after that, Sage Atri insisted that no, he should. It is Indra, and he must go back and fight. So he followed and chased Indra again, and in that instance, Indra disappeared and left the horse. So then Prithu's son brought the horse back to sacrifice, and sacrifice resumed. But Indra didn't give up because, of course, he was very, very insecure. So as he is a very powerful personality, being Indra, so from this, with his power, second attempt, what he did is he covered the sun with the clouds, and the sacrificial arena became pitch dark. So he came there this time and stole the horse in darkness. Again, Sage Atri saw what happened, and he told Prithu's son, go and kill him. Indra tried again. And when Prithu's son went behind him again, this time he did the same, he repeated the same instance. He disappeared, leaving the horse behind. And the horse was brought back again. And while all this was going on, King Prithu Maharaj saw what was happening. And he didn't want a common man to follow it. What was happening wrong here? So according to him, he was not worried about Indra disturbing his sacrificial ceremony or his Ashwamedha sacrifice or yajna. He was furious with the fact that Indra was dressed as a sannyasi, and this was the origin of the fake guru. And he didn't want common man to follow it, as it says in Bhagavad Gita, yad yad acharati shrestha tat tat eva taro jana. So whatever action a great man performs, common men will follow. And whatever standard he sets by exemplary acts, all the world pursues. So he didn't want the world to follow the trend of fake gurus, which Indra started. So as this pastime was the origin of fake gurus practice, let's discuss how do we identify a difference between a genuine and a fake guru. There are 3 points that I have got. First is a genuine guru and have to come in a disciplic succession and follow the previous acharya. A guru thinks that they are the servant of God, they're living in the books. So it is said that there is a person Bhagavat and a book Bhagavat. And a spiritual master is a person Bhagavat. In Nectar of Instruction, verse 1, there is a very beautiful verse. Vacho vegam manasakrodha vegam jiva vegam udarapastha vegam etana vegan yo vishaheta dhira sarvam api mam prithavim sashishya. A sober person who can tolerate the urge to speak, the mind's demand, the action of anger, and the urges of tongue, belly, and genitals is qualified to make disciples all over the world. So these are the qualifications of a genuine guru. Now but there are many people who dressed up in as sannyasi, but in reality, they may not be following a parampara. They are speaking from their mind. So how do we summarize that when somebody says that anyone who is not linked, and we have a doubt that, this person has got no background, but they are imposing in public as a guru, there are 4 questions one intelligent person should ask to identify the difference between a fake and a genuine guru. Question 1, we need to ask, what is their goal? If they say their goal is to merge into Brahman, the goal is to become wealthy, healthy, because many do advertise like that follow this practice, you will become very wealthy, you will become very healthy. And they are not, then this is, we understand that this is not going in right direction. The answer is that the goal is to go back to Godhead, develop love for Krishna, then it is a tick there. Question 2, what is their process to achieve the goal? Someone says, oh, it's different types of yoga asanas we do, and it's some sort of gymnastic, and it just remains at a superficial level, the process, then we need to be careful. Question 3 that we can ask is, what is their position? What is a guru's position? So if their understanding is that they are God, then of course that's not the right answer, we know. And then the question 4 is, what is the source of their knowledge? If they say it is all coming from my mind, then it is not very reliable, because from our mind is it is part of the human body. It has 4 defects. It can commit mistakes. We have imperfect senses. We can get illusioned, and we have tendency to cheat. So by asking all these 4 questions, we can identify a guru. And by the first 3 which that I mentioned as a qualification of a genuine guru, is that they are in a parampara, in a disciplic succession. He is sober, he can tolerate the urge to speak, the mind's demand, the action of anger, the urges of tongue, belly, and genitals, is qualified to make disciples all over the world. So as these are the qualification of a bona fide spiritual master, so one must be intelligent enough to seek for a bona fide spiritual master to obtain the real goal of life. And so by knowing this, Prithu Maharaj, back to the story, he was very furious with the fact that how dare King Indra dressed up as a sannyasi. So he decided to kill him for this offense. And Brahmanas advised Prithu Maharaj that he cannot kill because he is in between of the Ashwamedh Yajna. He cannot kill. He is doing some sacrifice. It will nullify the effect of the sacrifice. So they suggested to summon Indra with the powers of mantras and offer him in the sacrificial fire. And as they were invoking the mantras, the Lord Brahma was present, and he said that it is not a good idea. He suggested to King Prithu that you have done 99 sacrifice already, and that's enough. Take it as an opulence. And you are a devotee, so if Indra is getting agitated, we possibly don't need to complete it to 100. And King Prithu was submissive to superior's instruction. And we can see the quality of his humility and devotion, that he was satisfied with what he has achieved. He didn't want to show the world that he is the most powerful king. So he stopped the sacrifice there. Then in the next verse, which is verse 25, we see Prithu Maharaj is accepting Sanat Kumar as his spiritual master. And here, king is setting up an example of accepting a spiritual master. Prithu Maharaj came directly from spiritual world. he is an incarnation of Lord Vishnu. But he didn't need a spiritual master by birth. He was full Krishna conscious. But he still approached a spiritual master. We see the example that Lord Krishna himself has said that he didn't require a spiritual master, but even he accepted Sandip Muni as his spiritual master. We see the example of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He accepted Ishwara Puri as his guru. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Lord himself. He also doesn't require. So why we see these examples? Because through these pastimes, we are being taught by an example that accepting a spiritual master is very important in one's life. Going back to previous verse, which we were talking about, Yad Yad Acharati Shrestha, these examples are set by Lord himself for common man to follow. So in this material world, we see, even from a material perspective, if one wants to understand this, we see that people have coaches to guide them to attain success in certain activity. Like for business coaches, we want to get better at a sport, we need a sport coach. We want to get better at finance, we want a financial advisor. So the principle of taking guidance is there. We are doing that in every part of our life. So when it comes to spirituality, it applies also. We need a spiritual master. It is a very crucial part of our spiritual life and our advancement in going back to Godhead. So this verse 25, which we talked about, is also linked to Bhagavad Gita 4.34, which is Tadvidhi Paripatena Pariprashnena Sevaya Upadekshanti Te Jnanam Jnanina Sattva Darshana. So we see a comparison of 4.3 verse with Prithu Maharaj demonstrates through this pastime mentioned in Srimad Bhagavatam. There are three parts. The first one, just try to learn the truth by approaching a spiritual master. And in this verse, we saw that King Prithu will meet Sanat Kumar, one of the four Kumaras, in the garden of his palace compound. So he tried to learn the truth by approaching a spiritual master. Inquire from him submissively and render service unto him. So the king will worship him with devotion. So here, the worship him with devotion means he's not taking Sanat Kumar as God. He are worshipping him as God himself, but worshipping him as his spiritual master to connect to the Lord, which is to inquire from him submissively and render service unto him. And then the self-realized soul can impart knowledge onto you because he has seen the truth. So the king will be fortunate to receive the instruction by which one can enjoy transcendental bliss. So there are three aspects which is common in both these three verses, which we see: approach a spiritual master, render service unto him, and then we receive the knowledge. So you can see it's a reciprocal relationship. The spiritual master is required in one's life as he can guide one towards Krishna, which is a prime goal of one's life. So by serving a spiritual master submissively and rendering service unto him, we can receive the knowledge and instructions by which we can enjoy transcendental bliss. So we understood transcendental bliss and happiness, but let's talk about it a bit more. That how, and before we even go there of what is transcendental bliss or happiness, we need to first understand what is the material world, where we are at. So, and we already know that material world is dukkhalayam asashvatam. It's full of miseries. The temporary happiness that people are running after is not real happiness. The transcendental happiness and bliss is beyond what we feel while being in the modes of material nature. So if one may feel very happy, excited in mode of goodness, mode of passion, mode of ignorance, but that is nowhere close to the transcendental bliss and happiness. People are going through so much pain and suffering in this material world. So we have, if you ask this question, that is there anyone in this world who has an absence of pain or misery from their life, the answer would come out as no, because in this material world, the gap between the miseries is taken as a happiness. So even when people get overly frustrated with the material life, they may go to therapist sometimes, that, oh, can you remove my misery of one's life? And what a therapist would do, they can't remove the miseries from our life, but all they can do is they can possibly help with the ways of our thinking. And what is the ways of our thinking? It's in different modes, which is in goodness, passion, or ignorance. So even therapists would be talking to the person, going to them and understanding what is their way of thinking and how that can be changed to goodness, so it can be a little bit better. The position could be a little bit better to handle that misery. So, and that gives the person enough tools to be anxiety and stress-free. But nobody can take away the miseries. So when we talk about transcendental bliss, that is pulling ourselves out of these three modes of material nature that drag us to the temporary relative happiness. Real happiness is when we rise above the three modes and when we feel the transcendental bliss. And this can be done under the guidance of a bona fide spiritual master to rise above the three modes of material nature and come to the realization of real identity, unless and until we understand that our real identity is a servant of Krishna. Even initially at a superficial level, we need to make a start somewhere. So only then we are on the right path towards transcendental bliss and happiness. When we are serving Krishna with that mood that we are the servant of Krishna or the servant of Krishna, then we can experience the real bliss and satisfaction. And that is the absence of false ego. So let's see, there is one verse in Bhagavatam on how we can rise beyond the material gratification, which is from Srimad Bhagavatam 11.7.19. It's a beautiful verse. The translation says, the Supreme Lord replied, generally those human beings who are expertly analyze the actual situation of the material world are able to rise themselves beyond the inauspicious life of gross material gratification. So three things are given in this verse, that how we can rise beyond material gratification is by understanding how material world is miserable, just by direct and indirect analysis. Direct analysis means one's personal experience, and indirect analysis means hearing and reading from the experience of others. We can come to an understanding that, yes, this world is a miserable place. And secondly, by giving emphasis on how we can count our blessings, then getting discouraged. So there is an example, according to Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, Lord Krishna considered Uddhava to be more intelligent than even the demigods in heaven. But Uddhava, however, was feeling discouraged, thinking himself unqualified to render devotional service to the Lord. But Uddhava was actually perfectly situated because he has achieved Lord Krishna as his personal spiritual master. That was his blessing. So similarly, the members So it's mentioned in that purport that similarly, the members of the Krishna conscious movement are guided by the instruction of Srila Prabhupada. So therefore, we should never feel discouraged, but rather we should count our blessing and do the needful to go back home, back to Godhead. And it further explains in there the word vikshana or expert. So what they do will eventually come to understand the difference between matter and spirit. So such a person will certainly recognize and appreciate a genuine spiritual master. And the third point of rising above the sense gratification is by understanding how we should associate with devotees and minimize the wrong association. And we should ask ourselves, what is our primary mode we are living in? As I was talking about the three modes of material nature. A lot of time, people have a thought process that it lies within these three thought process. First could be, if it is helpless, then the primary mode we are living is in ignorance. If we think that if we have this, then we will do this, and then we will be happy, that is taking us towards laziness, indolence, and helpless state, which is ignorance. If our ways of thinking is in activity mode, that, oh, I must always be busy doing something and we are hankering for material result without having Krishna as a result, or Krishna's satisfaction as the result, then it is in passion. And if we are in knowledge and satisfied, then it is in goodness. But in all of this, if our aim is to satisfy Krishna in whatever we do, then we try to rise above towards transcendental mode. So then the Ashwamedh sacrifice, from this story, the Ashwamedh sacrifice general purpose of the king was to establish their supremacy over all other kings. So it is not transcendental, as we saw in the Vedic literature, but people used to follow that because in those days, the literatures were in three modes of material nature as well. So in the pastime of Prithu Maharaj, we can learn that he was satisfied just by completing 99 sacrifices. He did not come into the influence of the three modes. He got the higher taste, the spiritual realization. And because he got the higher taste and spiritual realization, he lost interest in material things. And this was material for him to complete 100 sacrifices. But at the same time, losing interest in material things we should not misinterpret, saying in a negative way. For example, one in negative or repulsed way sometimes may think about some incident that, oh, this is hurting me, this is hurting me, and this is hurting me. And then they just lose interest in material life, which is taking this negatively. The whole point is that we come to the platform of neutrality first by not being attracted or attached, and also not repulsed from material things, because we see everything in relation to Krishna's service. So conclusion is that our material suffering is because of the false ego, because of our own thinking that we want to satisfy ourselves. When we rise above from there and we change the stories, the inner stories that we tell ourselves, that like, I need this to feel this, I need this to be happy. And we are always chasing that to be happy in future. But once we get that, we are not happy, we are chasing something else again. The world owes me something, or I am helpless. These sort of thinking really drags us down. So we need to rise above those thinking, and we need to change this to start thinking, what will please Krishna? what what satisfies Krishna and his devotees. So our springboard to higher modes can be by changing this to goodness, and by being in mode of goodness, it will act as a springboard to take us towards the transcendental bliss and happiness. And one practical bit that one can start from is being grateful and following the instruction of our spiritual master will definitely take us to transcendental bliss and happiness. And the process of this bhakti is included in the instructions of our spiritual master. Thank you, everyone. If you have any questions or comments, I would like to hear those.
Thank you, Mataji, for the nice class, and particularly explaining the two things. First, that one should take a spiritual master and how one has to take it, and also King Prithu being above the material mode, acting beyond the material level, and because when he heard from Brahma that he has not to do the 100 Ashwamedh Yagya, he decided not to do that because it was the material platform. And also the way he has accepted Sanat Kumar as his guru, and this is the ideal way of accepting the guru. And he has followed all the instruction that was laid down in our spiritual, in our scriptures. He has maintained all of them, and this is the way of elevation from material level to the spiritual level. And also the other things you have explained about initially, that he was, as a protector of the citizens, he was doing the Ashwamedha Yagya, but considering the advice of Lord Brahma, the senior, and he decided not to do that. So thank you very much for the class. That's all from my side. Thank you, Mataji.
Yeah, thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat Pranam. It's a very, very nice class. Very concise. How King Prithu performs Ashwamedha Yagna, and how we recognize our goal, and how we know who is the real guru. Nicely described about that, the points and the Bhagavad Gita reference. And what should be the guru's position, how we'll know, and what's the process of the goal, and how we know the source of knowledge. It's very nicely described about that. Also, how you described how to approach the spiritual masters, what Prithu Maharaj has done. And you described about Prithu Maharaj's humility. He did not care for that 100 sacrifice when he listened here from the Brahma. So he accepted and he showed how he listened the superiors that Abhas Prabhu also told now. And how also comes transcendental bliss and happiness. It's, always we need to hear again and again and again. We don't know. It's in our, we can knocking in our brain. So to know the reality of the material nature, and also we can, means again, we can remind, so we'll know. Thank you very much for the class. Thank you, Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji.
And also you discussed how nicely how we can bridge beyond this, we can rise beyond this material nature. Very nice.
Thank you, Mataji. Thank you for very, very nice class and realizations as well. So that I think that one very nice point. What is there in the translation? What you emphasize also, the instructions, how to convert that into bliss. this like the spiritual master's instructions, how to like one thing is the ultimate bliss, going back to the Lord, but in terms of day-to-day bliss also, day-to-day, everyday, how to convert. So any more tips on in that aspect, Mataji? Like how to continue to be blissful in the day-to-day, every day with the instructions. That's why I just wanted to ask.
In day to day, from my perspective, or from what I have heard from senior devotees, I would only suggest that being grateful is a very important tool that we can use. Sometimes when someone can go really low in life, it can be very difficult to find what we are grateful for. But as it was in the verse, that we are very fortunate to be in the parampara, to have a spiritual master, be connected to Krishna in the disciplic succession. That's a very big blessing we have got. And there will be many other blessings as well in our day-to-day life that we can find, maybe as minor as that we are able to eat very nice prasadam. We know and understands the importance of eating prasadam. That could be as like a simple thought as that, to be grateful that many people don't even get to eat. So there are many things that can discourage us in life, but at the same time, when we focus less on what discourages us and we focus more on what, and we start counting what all blessings we have, then we can feel more nourished and encouraged in this path of bhakti. And of course, with the association of Krishna devotees, we can definitely feel more and more nourished and encouraged. So, am I able to answer your question, Prabhuji? Or?
Yeah, no, thank you, Mataji. No, that's very, very useful tips, especially in terms of being always grateful. Yeah, very nice. Thank you so much for the nice tip. Yeah.
Can we add one thing here, please?
Yes, Mataji.
Yeah, means we need to read every day Srila Prabhupada's books.
Yes.
Every day, yeah. Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya. It's really blissful.
Yes, yes. So associating with devotees.
Devotees, yeah.
Yeah, it was very good point that I was hearing, that when we associate with devotees, we must hear and discuss the pastimes of Krishna. That's how, by reading the loving exchanges between devotees in the pastimes in the Bhagavatam and Prabhupada Leela Amrita, we feel very encouraged and sheltered, and we can feel that love as well.
True.
So that's very important to keep connected to Srila Prabhupada's books.
Thank you, Mataji.
So, Prabhuji, if nobody has got any questions or comments, would you like to conclude this class?
Yeah, Mataji, we can end at this session. Thank you very much for your lecture.
Okay. Thank you, everyone. Srila Prabhupada
Ki jai, Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha sindhubhaya vacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah. Ananta Koti Vaishnav ki jai. Har Grace Ananglata Devidasi ki jai. Gaur Premanande Hari Hari. All glories to assembled devotees. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.